Nigeria. It's Wednesday, midweek, but the politics is already running at full speed. I'm Manolo Akpo, and this is Daybreak Live, where we confront the headlines, the tension, and the truth behind the nation's biggest conversations.
Definitely, and I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. We begin with a statement shaking the public space. Senate President Godswill Akpabio says no society is crime-free, not even almighty America. It's a bold admission, but also a reminder of the deeper question. If crime is inevitable, what then is the responsibility of leadership? Nigerians are demanding answers, not excuses.
Exactly. In the country where insecurity still dictates daily life, comments like this don't just spark reactions. They spark judgment about sincerity, competence, and political accountability.
Definitely. And then coming up next is Daybreak News. I will take you through the key stories shaping governance, institutions, and public trust across the country.
Then it's straight into the newspaper headlines and analysis with sharp perspectives from our analyst, Ignatius Boseliume Ofino, helping us decode not just what's on the front pages, but what's between the lines.
And for our big story, we turn to the art of Nigeria's opposition politics. Tension at Wadata Plaza, where Nigeria's opposition party batters each other. It's a tough one, and we're going to be unpacking that today.
Definitely, so many things to go on today. Joining us for that conversation is Sam Nwoko, a senior editor with the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, a voice known for clarity, context, and unflinching analysis.
Then we wrap up with Trend Watch Trace and the stories capturing national attention from the streets to social media.
It's Wednesday morning, Nigeria. The stories are sharp, the stakes are high, and we are here to break it all down.
Definitely, this is Daybreak Live. I welcome you all. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Everything is going down. Welcome this morning.
Welcome.
It's good to have you in the studio.
And happy International Men's Day to you and to all men out there. Thank you for making the world a beautiful place to live in.
You can say that again. I mean, especially for all the men. I think this is so good coming from you first. I didn't get to say myself, so I think it's a good one for every man.
It was intentional. I was going to beat you to it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. We celebrate that.
So is there going to be a celebration for that? I mean, here
Of
you
course,
have some other programs.
We asked Mr. Shegun, Mr. Okpe, those are the ones who will be in charge of the celebration for today. LFI, Mr. Shegun, Mr. Samson as well. Those are the men in the house, so they'll probably take us out somewhere.
Are we invited?
Well, it's a men affair, so we don't want opposition.
Oh, wow, this is not a PDP, APC thing. Well, away from that, let's talk about the Senate President Akpabio now. Yesterday, we read a story where he said that no society is free of crime. Even the almighty America, they record, crime since daily. But then I would love you to weigh in on this because I want to believe that he has a very valid point because I mean even America, UK, and all other countries across the world, they also have one or two cases of crime, of maybe all of those things coupled together. But then I don't think it should be a competition. If at all we want to compete with the developed countries, it should be about infrastructure, it should be about education, it should be about industrialization, not us competing with other countries that are also having crime issues. So we should not kill ourselves because we are also going through the same thing. We can compete in other ways. And I think he also mentioned something to say that he thinks that our security operators are overstretched, and that's why a lot of them are complaining bitterly that they are not able to actually nip this on the board. And I think this happened when he was trying to preside over the plenary, and then the senators, one of them stood up to say that, okay, if this is actually, let's say, if out of the 25 girls that were kidnapped or adopted in Kebbi State, if one of them, was your family member, okay, would you still be this calm about the whole matter? And another thing is the fact that Brigadier General Musa was also killed. So all of these things, and even in that same school where 25 girls were kidnapped, I think the vice principal, when he was trying to defend the girls from being abducted, he was shot and then he died. And I was watching the interview of his wife yesterday, and she was speaking Hausa, so I couldn't really hear. But then I think some persons tried to translate that this meant they just came in at about 5 a.m. in the morning, and a lot of persons were even shot. And then I even read a story that said that some identified bodies are on the ground that people are unable to identify yet. So it was a gory sight. And all of these things happening, I don't think we should defend ourselves to say that other countries also go through the same thing. Can we begin to look for the way out, honestly?
No, so let me start by saying there is a particular statement in one of the holy books that says, "He who compares himself with another is not wise." I think the issue on the table of discourse is comparison. So if you see what Akpabio, or you heard what Akpabio said, it was comparing what is obtainable here and that of the United States. Now, I guess to say what he said is valid. A point can be valid, can be factual, because there's no place that is void of problems. There's no region that is totally void of turbulence and all of that. It's meant to happen in life. But when you take that from the conversation of insecurity, that a general was killed, 25 students, pupils, schoolgirls were abducted, and then you make, on that premise, you stand, and then you took it to say, anyway, no one is better. I mean, the United States has its own fair share of insecurity, of challenges and all that. But, you know, the question would be, what is the basis for comparison? If you tackle the problem, what has been brought to the house to preside over, to talk about, is the issue of insecurity. Going the extra mile of trying to say, this is also obtainable somewhere else, is not necessary. Because we first need to acknowledge that the statement is factual. But that it's factual does not mean it's right, because it's not right for that particular conversation. The context on ground is, what do we do? How do we move forward? Not comparison. Not saying, even the United States, if you go there, it's not as if it's pure. I mean, we did not ask you questions. We know these things, right? Tell us what you think we can do going forward. What can the Nigerian state do to tackle this? It was a gory sight yesterday, like you mentioned. Students were abducted. Their vice principal was killed. And I was saying yesterday too, that the problem with all of these things is not just in the now. It's in the aftermath of things. What becomes of the psyche of those people who witnessed the killing of their vice principal? They witnessed banditry, guns, and all of those things. People, you know, dragging them, whisking them away into the bush. What do you think would happen to their psychology? Those girls are already affected. How do you, because if you really want to think about the future of a nation, think about the pupils, the children, and all of this. So if our children are being whisked away into the bush, what becomes of our future? Because it's like they are whisking away our future into the bush. Now, that is more important than comparing whether Nigeria is better, whether the United States does not have its own fair share. That is not, it's like we say, it's immaterial to the conversation on the ground. The conversation on the table should be, how do we look into this? And I think it's become a norm for our leaders to look for escape route out of situations. You want to calm the storm, but you calm it in the wrong way. You want people to know that, okay, this is not only peculiar to us, this is not an endemic situation, we have it across board too. But while doing that, you are even causing more pain. I'm sorry, Godswill Akpabio, that was a bit insensitive. People are mourning, the nation is mourning. It was a dark moment. The vice president, the first lady, Musa, chief of army staff, everybody is trying to wade into this issue to say we're trying to beef up security. They even went, the COS yesterday met with vigilantes, soldiers, and was giving them morale. We actually played it on one of our news bulletins at Dominion Radio, and you could see the whole atmosphere. Everybody's trying to say, let's do something, and the president gave a directive, guys, strike. That's more important. Talk about how best they can apprehend the situation, how best they can curtail it and not have it happening again in the country. That is more material. It's immaterial to compare. It's immaterial to say whether or not United States University is having a problem. United States of America, I meant to say, did I say university? Maybe that's where you're going. But anyway, so I'm saying that all of that is immaterial to the conversation on the ground. Yeah. Tackle the issue. Let's take it right as we can. If there's anything the National Assembly can do for the military to also empower them, to strengthen them, to encourage them, let's do that. Instead of saying the United States is also facing crisis.
Honestly, I think you're very spot on. And then he mentioned that, okay, all of that society, especially the US, they're also facing this. When it comes to countries that have been able to neutralize bandits and terrorists, I think United States will probably be maybe are the number one of all of those countries, because I mean they've done it over time. Can we learn from them instead of saying they also suffer all of these? Can we begin to talk about the areas where they are doing so well? Can we compete with them? Can we say, okay, we also the same way we are seeing development in the United States, we're also seeing it in Nigeria? Can we have those conversations? I don't think we can have those conversations. And then to think that issues like this will bring back some painful memories, because I recall that when the Chibok thing happened, a lot of women, a lot of groups, and even men came out to protest bitterly, about the whole abduction. And I heard that some of them were able to escape. And even these recent 25 girls that were abducted in Kebbi State, I think one of them have been able to escape as well. So it is a sad reality to see that all of this are happening. And I want to believe that the Senate President can use his good office to actually speak up. I mean, for the people. If the security operators are being overstretched, we can look for ways to make sure that more people can come in, and of course we can ensure that the lives of people are safe. I mean, because imagine if a brigadier general is being murdered. I mean, what do you make of
it was cold-blooded death?
A commoner who has no title, who has nothing. So it's a sad one, honestly. And I want to believe that the president, is on this matter to see that, okay, things and the necessary things are being done. Those schoolgirls, imagine what they are going through at the moment. Imagine the kind of, situation they have found themselves in as young girls at that age. Honestly, it is a sad one. I want to believe that. I even heard a story yesterday that another case happened in Kwara State. Some other persons were murdered. I also heard the case that a certain church, I think they had to bomb the church, and then some persons were also killed in this same country. And you still see some persons come out to say that, okay, people are not being killed, we are just escalating the matter, it's not that deep, let's stop calling to foreign or maybe international bodies to come and save us. It's a sad one, really. I want to believe that a day will come when we don't have to talk about all of this on Daybreak Live, because I mean it must have been beaten down, honestly.
All right, there's so much we can say about all of this, but I think it's also important that we tell our leaders that no matter how much you try to cover up these things, it will come out. This age and time,
you can't even cover it.
People have enough gadgets to show whatever you say is not happening, and you're trying to cover it up by being influential about the media, trying to poke nose into the media to say, this is what I want you to project. Over time, the truth will always come out, even if it was buried for 3 days.
Definitely.
Now, I think we have to move on to the weather report today, and of course we start from the ancient metropolitan city, like Samson would call Ibadan. Your state is where we have checked the weather report today to see what the weather is saying or is feeling like this morning. Weather feels like 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy in Ibadan. Your state today, of course. Later in the morning, it rises by 5 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius, and it's supposed to be partly cloudy. And also in the afternoon, it rises further by 5 degrees Celsius again, 34 degrees Celsius to partly cloudy as well. Evening, 26 degrees Celsius, it drops further, and it's mostly expected to be clear in the evening. And overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy as well in Ibadan, or your state.
All right, let's cross over to Lagos State. Weather this morning feels like 31 degrees Celsius, and in the morning, still in the morning, is expected to be around 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 4% in the afternoon, 30 degrees Celsius, showers around 38% in the evening, 28 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 6%, and overnight, 27 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 7%. That's what we have for Lagos this morning.
And Abeokuta South, Ogun State, is where we land. And the weather feels like 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, and Abeokuta today. It rises later in the morning to 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. And afternoon rises by 4 degrees Celsius, also to 34 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. It drops much further in the evening, 27 degrees Celsius, and is expected to be mostly clear. And mostly cloudy as well overnight at 24 degrees Celsius in Abeokuta South, Ogun State today.
Well, let's cross over to Ekiti South this morning. Weather feels like 22 degrees Celsius, and later this morning is expected to be around 28 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 2%. In the afternoon, 32 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 0%. In the evening, 24 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 7%. And overnight, 22 degrees Celsius, cloudy, around 11%. That's what we have for Ekiti Southwest this morning.
And from Ekiti now to Osogbo, Osun State particularly, the weather feels like 23 degrees Celsius, cloudy right there. Later in the morning, it rises by about 6 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny in Osogbo today in afternoon. It rises much further to 35 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy as well. And evening, it drops to 26 degrees Celsius, also clear right there. And overnight, 24 degrees Celsius is also cloudy in Osogbo, Osun State, Nigeria.
All right, let's cross over to Ilorin International Airport this morning. Weather feels like 23 degrees Celsius and later is expected to rise to 29 degrees Celsius, sunny around 1%. In the afternoon, 36 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the evening, 28 degrees Celsius, clear around 1%. And overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 8%. That's what we have for Ilorin this morning.
And we head to Kaduna, to the true north. So we say the weather feels like 18 degrees Celsius, quite sunny today. And it rises much further by 10 degrees Celsius later in the morning, becomes sunny at 28 degrees Celsius. It promises to rise also to 33 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, also sunny. And it promises to be clear, dropping by 10 degrees Celsius in the evening to 23 degrees Celsius and 19 degrees Celsius, also clear overnight in Kaduna Airport, Kaduna State today.
All right, let's cross over to Kano this morning. Weather feels like 18 degrees Celsius and later is expected to rise to 27 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the afternoon, 33 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0% as well. In the evening, 24 degrees Celsius, clear around 0%. And overnight, 19 degrees Celsius, clear around 0%. That's what we have for Kano this morning.
And in Abuja today, the weather is fair at 23 degrees Celsius. It rises to 31 degrees Celsius, sunny in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory today. And afternoon, it rises by 3 degrees Celsius as well. 34 degrees Celsius is what is expected, also sunny. In the evening, it drops further to 26 degrees Celsius, also with the weather expected to be clear. And overnight, 23 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory today.
All right, let's cross over to Suleja, Niger. Weather this morning feels like 21 degrees Celsius. Later is expected to rise to 30 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the afternoon, 34 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0% as well. In the evening, 25 degrees Celsius, clear around 1%. And overnight, 22 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 1%. That's what we have for Suleja this morning.
And we wrap up things on the weather report in Port Harcourt, Rivers State today. The weather feels like 22 degrees Celsius. Later in the morning, rises to 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. It stays the same way in the afternoon, also cloudy at 27 degrees Celsius. Then later in the evening, it drops to 22 degrees Celsius, dropping 5 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy as well. And overnight, it drops much further to 21 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy in Port Harcourt, Rivers State today.
All right, I think it's a fine place to leave it this morning on this particular segment. I do well to follow us across all social media platforms and Facebook, TikTok, Instagram and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cars. We take a short break now and when we come back, we take the news. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Hello and welcome. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Oluwakpo Idowu. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has condemned the abduction of the 25 students taken away from Government Girls Comprehensive Senior Secondary School, Maga, in Danko, Wasagu local government area of Kebbi State. Sequel to this, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shuaibu, has directed troops of Operation Fansanyama to intensify efforts to secure the release of students abducted from the school as soon as possible. According to a statement by the Media Information Officer of Operation Fansanyama, Captain David Adewusi, the Chief of Army Staff gave the directive during an operational tour of Kebbi State while addressing frontline commanders and troops to conduct intelligence-driven operations and maintain relentless day and night pursuit of the abductors. The crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has taken another turn as the factional National Executive Committee, NEC, loyal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, ratified the expulsion of Governors Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, and Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State. The NEC also expelled former Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Senator Adolphus Wabara, former National Vice Chairman of the party, Bode George, and the recently elected party national chairman, Kabiru Turaki, a senior advocate of Nigeria. The move comes just days after the controversial PDP National Convention held in Ibadan, which saw Wike and his loyalists expelled from the party. The faction of NEC, at its meeting held at the National Secretariat in Abuja on Tuesday, also dissolved the state executive councils in Oyo, Bauchi, Zamfara, Yobe, Lagos, and Ekiti states, directing the constitution of caretaker committees and the conduct of fresh congresses. And in Oyo State, the Alaafin of Oyo, His Imperial Majesty Oba Engineer Abimbola Akim Owade I, has congratulated the Executive Chairman of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, retired General Mohammed Buba Mawa, for his second-term appointment in office, describing him as a trailblazer. In a congratulatory message through its Director of Media Publicity, Bode Durojaye, Opawade said retired Mawa is by all intents and purposes a man with a strong sense of honesty, strong will, and a highly determined character. The Alaafin therefore prayed the Almighty God to grant long life, good health, and prosperity to the charismatic Executive Chairman of the NDLEA in the burdensome task ahead of him. Still in Oyo State, victims of Ibadan Circular Road Corridor staged another massive protest in Ibadan yesterday, 18th November 2025, blocking commuters along the Lagos to Ibadan Expressway from going about their daily activities. The chairman of the affected communities, Adedeji Ahmed, while speaking, called for sponsorship and support from politicians and political parties. Likewise, the secretary, Aziz Olaide, stated that it is a warning protest. Reacting to the protests, AAC Oyo State Chairman Kayode Babayomi asserted that the protest is a confirmation that the people of the state are awake to fight for their rights. Also speaking to this man, Comrade Abayomi Adekunle lamented the lackadaisical attitude of Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde to their demands. The Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde is, however, enjoined to give a positive response soon to the demonstrators to avoid further havoc. In another development, concerned residents of Oyo State have expressed growing frustration over persistent poor power supply stating that the frequent blackouts are crippling businesses, straining families, and worsening the cost of living. Speaking with Dominion News, some residents claim to be hopeful that the ongoing national power sector reforms will eventually improve electricity supply, while others are skeptical. Owing to fears of corruption within the system, they insist that without strict accountability, the promise of stable power may remain out of reach, and the residents are therefore pleading with both federal and state authorities to take urgent and transparent steps toward reforming the power sector. And on the foreign scene, Eswatini has confirmed for the very first time that it received $5.1 million from the United States in exchange for accepting third country deportees. The kingdom, led by absolute monarch King Mswati III, has come in for heavy criticism from right groups for striking the deal with President Donald Trump's administration. Its finance minister said the money has been funneled into the account of the country's National Disaster Management Agency, NDMA, but he has been quoted as saying that the NDMA was not allowed to use the money as it had not been allocated to it by the government, and that the payment still needs to be regularized. And in business, the nation's foreign reserve has risen to over $46 billion, according to Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Yemi Cardoso. Cardoso, who was represented by the Deputy Governor, Economic Policy Directorate, Dr. Mohamed Abdullahi, disclosed this at the opening of the Monetary Policy Department's 20th anniversary colloquium at the CBN headquarters in Abuja. He said it was the first time the country had reached such a level since 2018, quoting data published by the CBN, which shows that the Naira depreciated marginally by 0.4%. In the parallel markets, the Naira gained slightly by 2 Naira, closing at 1,455 Naira on Monday, as against 1,457 Naira on Friday. And finally, in sports, the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has issued a heartfelt apology to President Bola Tinubu, the federal government, and Nigerians following the Super Eagles' failure to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup finals. In a statement issued by the NFF, the football body described the loss to DR Congo in the Africa Playoff Final in Rabat as a moment of profound sadness for Nigerian football. The Federation then expressed gratitude for the enormous support received from the federal government through the National Sports Commission, the National Assembly, key ministries, departments and agencies, diplomatic missions, the media, and passionate fans throughout the qualification campaign. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. And as Daybreak News, I am Anoluakpo Ido. Thank you for watching.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB event today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
It is popularly said that whatever goes around comes around. And that's the case of expulsion and counter-expulsion. Expulsion on the one hand, on the other hand, counter-expulsion. But that's exactly the case in the People's Democratic Party as we speak. But that is also one of the stories we are going to be checking out this morning. All right, welcome to this very exciting segment where we check into the print newspaper headlines and analysis. We check stories breaking, making the rounds across the nation. The high point, the low points, we discuss every of those stories on this particular segment of the program. Now, I have so many newspapers with me and some print also, e-print as well. So many stories to go around, but of interest to me, and I think it will be of interest to you, is the story about the People's Democratic Party. And you want to know how it's been put on Salient Times newspaper today. Anyway, it says, after 10th standoff, Turaki takes over People's Democratic Party's secretariat. If you recall, so we brought it in the news that there was tension at Wadata yesterday, the PDP secretariat yesterday, as we know, and it was a big deal. But the caption is not as important as the sub-caption. If you see on your screen, solicit Trump's backing as internal feud heightens. It even sounds like a rhyme. After 10th standoff, Turaki takes over PDP secretariat, solicits Trump's backing as internal feud heightens. You see, very, very, very literally amazing because the way it was put. But the story has been about the PDP, how that there was a standoff between two factions, like we now know. Some faction claiming to be the ones recognized by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Other factions saying there was a particular convention that brought them into power. And so remember just on Saturday, at the National Convention in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, the expulsion of Wike and some of his people came to the fore. And after that as well, there was a counter expulsion yesterday as well. But the question and debate has been, who has the power to make an expulsion of a particular candidate, of a particular member of a party? Some have alluded that the convention or the Congress has that sole responsibility. Others have said, you know what, we can decide to expel anybody anywhere, even at BOT meetings, even at NEC meetings, even at NWC meetings, whatever meeting we do, we can expel anybody we want to. So whether the expulsion is going to stand is still a conversation to be discussed. One, two, whether the convention was actually real, because yesterday, Andiao also alluded to some point, he made reference to the fact that there, in fact, this was the way he put it. He said there was no convention, that it was a Christmas party in Ibadan. While a faction says that the convention actually held. Whether or not the INEC was present was not the most important thing. What was important is that a party like the PDP should have its national convention when they decide to have it. And Yahoo actually, on the other hand, flip side of things, claimed that they did not meet the requirement for a convention to happen. He said, as the acting national chairman, is supposed to be aware. INEC is supposed to be notified some days, in fact, a good number of days before that will come to be. And then he mentioned some other aspects. He was speaking to a lot of persons, like Damagun was saying he has been suspended, and a lot of conversations right there. The tension actually flared up, just so you don't know. I'll get you into a brief of that, how it unfolded yesterday. When, the governor of Oyo State, particularly Sheyi Makinde, Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, and then some other colleagues entered into Wadata. That's the PDP's national secretariat yesterday. So when they got there, the moment they got there, everything, the atmosphere changed. In fact, the police officers that were there, the security operatives, they fired tear gas at people, and people had to scamper just to escape that particular moment. It was a big one, chaos as you might call it. Some other papers have called it feud, others have called it chaos, others have called it tension, standoff, whatever you call it. I think you might be right in your own estimate. But exactly the case, what happened was that there was tension. And as we see, maybe we'll keep our fingers crossed to see what will become of all of this case. Who exactly gets the key? Because what we have on Salient Times newspaper is that Traki soliciting Trump's backing as internal feud is heightening. So that's the case. Because some have also said Turaki has taken over PDP secretariat. Has he taken over? That's the question again. We would get into all of these conversations, but let's take some other stories as we continue still on Salient Times newspaper this morning. It says Tinubu to depart Abuja for South Africa and Angola on Wednesday. The president is on another mission to leave the country, Nigeria, for some meetings like the G20 meeting, like we know, also important. And he mentioned the fact that, youth of this country are going to be in the thick of things as to the reforms that would happen after the G20 summit. Maybe that is a good one, but we hope this is also true about what the government has promised the youth. Of course, I'm one of them. Now, moving on from that, Governor Kefas postpones planned defection to APC over Kevi schoolgirls abduction. That is a big one as well, as you can see on your screen. Governor Kefas, the right-hand corner of Salient Times, as you see, postpones planned defection to APC over KB schoolgirls abduction. Maybe that is in solidarity to that particular moment, because yesterday even the First Lady had to announce that there be a 1 minute silence for the vice principal that was shot dead right in that an unfortunate scene. But yes, moving on from that stories to reps move to court eligibility age for governors and senators to 30. Seems like what Nigerians are expecting. Not too young to run. Seems like it's becoming possible now, because if you say you want to have a benchmark of 30, I think it's still good, because if you recall also, if you are a person of history or a student of history, you would discover that some of the leaders that are now leading or that have once led the country, I meant to say, like Obasanjo, a good number of them, Shagari, and a lot of them were young when they started this, and now there's a view not too young to run. But there's a counter reality to that view, how that the people you find in government are people who are already old enough to be grandpas and grandfathers. But that's not even the only case. It seems the rep is making a move now to say to cut eligibility age for governors and senators to 30. That's a good cut, if you ask me. But yes, moving on from that particular newspaper to Nigerian News Direct. What's coming directly from News Direct this morning? Let's see on the front page. Power Tosu, PDP crisis escalates as Wike-led faction expels Makinde, Turaki, Bode George, and others. That's the big one. As faction dissolves state executives in 6 states, others fresh congresses as Turaki's PDP faction postpones NWC, that's National Working Committee, meeting till today. So that's why we're saying fingers are crossed for that as we keep on tracking that story. We just brought that story to you about the PDP escalation and some of the Wike-led faction saga at the Wadata complex yesterday. Now, still on Nigerian News Direct this morning, coming directly from that print, says AGF unveils system reforms to boost transparency in World Bank funded projects. That's the Attorney General Federation unveiling system reforms to boost transparency in World Bank funded projects. That is also a big story to check out this one. Nigerians' foreign reserves hit $46.7 billion, highest in 7 years. We brought that story also in the World of Business just recently, and if you track further. Now, News Direct also says that Tinubu has departed or is departing Abuja for G20 and African Union, European Union Summit right there on the print. Moving and flipping through the pages now to the Guardian newspaper. And on the Guardian newspaper, fears is what I'm saying first. But what is the fear about? Fears of one party drifts intensify as PDP crisis worsens, turns violent. That's on the Guardian newspaper this morning. Fears of one party drifts intensify as PDP crisis worsens, turns violent. Page 6, that's the way the caption has been, especially with the old saga of the PDP and the APC and every other party involved in this whole situation. ASU rejects federal government proposed salary increment. Because every time we see the case of ASU, what comes to mind is, oh, could there be a case of another industrial action? Like, we know it to be a thing. It seems like a forced resort for many bodies and parastatals in the country, but we hope this is not true. ASU rejects federal government proposed salary increment, and it's taking stories from outside world. United Nations world leaders demand faster action on Paris Agreement. That is also talking about international bilateral relations, especially at United Nations level. World leaders are clamoring and demanding faster action on Paris Agreement, and that is quite a bulky sum to have. If you want to check into the agreement of the Paris Agreement, it's quite extensive, talking about climate change, talking about some other things that affect the world and all of that as well. Now, House in rowdy session over INEC's powers to monitor party activities. I think this was going to be a conversation anyway, because when the officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, were not available in Ibadan to conduct the national convention and then the election that went on, it was supposed to be a thing, and there were expectations on all of that to happen. And so we are still tracking this and seeing, I hope to see something quite positive from all of these stories as we have them on the print. Reps probe oil sector and co-borrowers funds abandoned properties. That is also a story right there coming from the Guardian newspaper this morning. And Guardian takes interest in the story. It says Kebbi school abduction sets off military push, political backlash, and regional alarms. That's also something to bother about this morning, especially as we have it. We'll still take some other stories, but that will be shortly after this break. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation and analysis proper of this particular segment. Stay with us and don't go nowhere.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
A big thank you for staying with us. Of course, now into the analysis of the newspaper headlines as we have them on the print. And I will do this alone because I have with me in the house, in the studio this morning, Ignatius Bosalume Ofino. Good morning to you.
Good
this morning. It's good to have you in the studio.
I'm delighted to be here this morning.
So let's get started, shall we? We'll start with the People's Democratic Party. Yesterday, I know you are in the thick of things as to how it unfolded. You are abreast of all of the developments. But, you know, maybe just to bring us up to speed about what your thought on this would be. There was crisis. Of course, we've seen crisis even before now, but there was another crisis that engulfed yesterday when members, the two factions of the People's Democratic Party came to the same place to have a meeting. Tear gas fired, people wounded, all of that happened. But, you know, there were questions about what should we wait till blood spill before we get to the end of this crisis with the PDP? Turaki has written to Donald Trump. You know, Turaki, the chairman that came in after the convention that Samuel Anyanwu and some other Wiki-led faction have said was a jamboree. They said it was a Christmas party. It wasn't a national convention of the PDP. But let me get your comprehensive thoughts on the issue of the PDP.
There is one thing you must understand when it comes to the issue of politics. It is the game of power, the scrabble for resources. Who controls what and who gets what? How do we allocate resources? Then again, the power game is characterized by whims and caprices. So you don't expect anything less than what really happened yesterday. Because PDP as a political party is factionalized. And that national convention, to me, I see it as being illegal. So I wasn't surprised when Turaki decided to write a safe message to my friend, President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump will never support illegality, no matter what. So it's an effort in futility. That is what I'm saying before Turaki. It's an effort in futility. My friend, my own friend, President Donald Trump will never support illegality. There is a subsisting court judgment that barred PDP from going ahead with that national convention. And at the end of the day, they flouted it. Then Turaki is now coming to write an open letter to my friend, President Donald Trump. Ask Turaki, did he ever support Donald Trump in 2016? Did he support Donald Trump when he was bidding for the second term bid again? People like us supported Donald Trump in Nigeria. That is why up to today, when some people see me, they say, Ofino Trump. Because I stood my ground to support Trump. So for now, Turaki coming, writing an open letter, they are trying to wash their dirty linen outside. So Turaki should not put our country in disrepute. That is what I know.
Very quickly, speak to the issue of expulsion and counter-expulsion. Do you think the Samuel Anyanwu led and then the Wike faction have the right at the meeting yesterday to expel members of the PDP?
There is one thing you must understand. PDP is now behaving like a lawless organization. When there is lawlessness, everything is right. Everything goes. Now, we all knew that what happened yesterday. I knew it's going to happen. Because the Wike that I know is a political militant. He doesn't care. What he is more interested in is his own personal ambition. And there's one thing you must understand. All members of the G5, they are political spoilers. Engineer Seyi Makinde of Oyo State is a political spoiler. Autumn, the former governor of Benue State, a political spoiler. Ikpe Azu, the former governor of Abia State, a political spoiler. Wike himself, Nyesom Wike, the former governor of Rivers State, and now the incumbent cabinet minister of the FCC, a political spoiler. So the battle has turned against those who decided to work against their party. So you can see the political spoilers are turning against themselves. So it's a plus to the APC. But the masses who have become impoverished must watch. That is one thing that is very germane. So I wasn't, when I heard that they said Turaki write an open letter to President Donald Trump, it's an effort in futility.
Now, let's speak to the issue. One issue that came out yesterday, very important to everybody because it's about life. It pertains to life and the lives of our future. Now, the Kebbi abduction was a story yesterday and it's still making the rounds. President sent Shetima to Kebbi. The chief of army staff was also there yesterday. There were many people saying a lot of things, but this has actually erupted into a big situation because Riley Moore, one of the representatives member in the US, also spoke to this that, oh, there was an unfortunate incident. And so there's been claims that that would again incite what they said about insecurity and not just the Christian genocide. It's going to take it a bit more. It's going to be expansive now. So the US might say, yes, Christian genocide is one, but we also want to tackle abduction, insecurity, kidnapping in the country. We want to help you do that because the US still seems interested. They still seem interested in the issue of the Nigerian state. But what do you make of all of this?
When the Chibok girls' abduction happened in 2014, a lot of people raised eyebrow and objection to it. Till date, those girls are still in captivity.
Some of them.
Some of them. Now, there was the Dapchi girls again in Yobe State. Then came the Kebbi abduction. So there is an internal conspiracy and also an external conspiracy against the national stability of Nigeria as a country. When we are talking about these bandits, the government knows them. Do they not know them? These bandits are involved in illegal what? Mining activities up north. We have to be frank and sincere to ourselves. This is a country that does not believe in human dignity. We have a government that does not place value and premium on human lives. So you can see what is going on now. The US want to intervene. People are saying that they want to invade. That a sovereign nation does not have the right to invade a fellow sovereign nation. But now look at it now. US as a country has an international obligation to always protect and defend the defenseless in the world. Now, the US, they're having interest. Probably this will probably trigger the US intervening this time around. But now we were talking some times ago about Christian genocide now. There is one thing with it now. The one of KB school adoption, most of them are Muslim. Most of these students are what? They are Muslim. You can see. So there is a finger of conspiracy. You cannot rule it out. Because when Donald Trump was pushing that idea that there is a Christian genocide in Nigeria, now look at what happened now. Probably those bandits, they will want to use these children as shield.
Hostage.
They are going to hold them hostage and use them as what? As shield. This was exactly what happened between Israel and the Gazan, Hamas. So Hamas was using what? Innocent civilians as what? As shield. So when you are trying to fight terrorism, you are fighting what we call asymmetric war, not a conventional war. Sometimes you hear in Nigeria, unknown gunmen, are they ghosts? Sani Abacha, the general, you know what he said? He said, whenever there is what we call high level of insecurity within 24 hours, that shows that the ruling government has a hand in it. That was what the late General Sani Abacha said. You can see what is going on in this country. Local crisis now escalated, becoming a national crisis, becoming a regional crisis. It was a local conflict. when we are talking about Boko Haram. The Nigerian army that I know in the past, they were the strongest in Africa when it comes to the issue of guerrilla warfare. Give Nigerian army a plus. We were there in Ekomong, peace mission. We were there in Liberia. Nigeria was there also in Congo. But how come a local sect trying to overrun the Nigerian army? And unfortunately, we lost a brigadier general 2 days ago. And the country is not saying anything about it. Brigadier General Umba fell at the bullet of a terrorist, ISWAP. And we are not saying anything. It will never happen under the leadership of Chief Olusegun Aremu Matthew Okikiola Obasanjo. It will never happen. We don't all remember what happened during the days of OD. Those in Bayelsa, we all knew when the community decided to kill 9 soldiers. Obasanjo launched an attack. The rest is history. That is how to know a man that is in charge of governance. When Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was in power, he was in charge. But the ones that we're having now, they are no longer in charge. They are more interested in funding politics, not funding security, especially when it comes to the issue of science and technology. Do you know that? Don't be surprised. America are already in Nigeria. Probably, do we have a strong defense in our aerospace? Who says the American soldiers are not already in the air, the Nigerian aerospace? We lack technology. What politicians are more interested? Let us be funding the party, defunding the party. Why don't you go and fund science and technology? Look at the media station here. It's a product of what? Science and technology. Space. There was one time like that, they discovered a mysterious balloon in America. That mysterious balloon was being launched by China. America brought that balloon down. I'm talking about balloon. Because of national security. So Nigeria is a regional power. Now we have what we call local insecurity. We have national insecurity. We have regional insecurity. What a country and what a people.
Let's get away a bit from security and insecurity. Talk maybe educational security, if there's anything like that. Now, the story is on Nigerian Tribune newspaper, and it says, again, ASU accuses federal government of non-readiness to meet demands. Is this a chance for another industrial action?
There is one thing you must also understand. There was one initiative that Goodluck Jonathan's government brought that time. Safe School Initiative. Our schools are no longer safe anymore. These children represent our future. There's one thing I like about the advanced nations of the world. When a child is in a car, they tell you that there is a child in the car. You must not overspeed. Because they are more concerned about that child. A greater America. But in this country, it's not like that. Our yesterday has always been better than today. Is it supposed to be? Our today is supposed to be better than yesterday. Then our tomorrow better than today. But it is an irony in Nigeria. Do we actually fund education in Nigeria? Are we actually funding education? I remember because of ASU's demands, President Olusegun Obasanjo decided to grant private license for the establishment of private universities. And today we can see what is actually going on. In private university, you are not allowed to go on industrial action except public university. Since then till date, there has been a decline in funding of public universities in this country. There has been a decline. A professor is entitled to 2 graduate assistants. And when you look at what is going on in the university, excess workload. Do you know that we have some PhD students today who are also assisting lecturers in marking, in grading? Is this supposed to be? A lecturer has that responsibility to set examination questions and to mark. Why should you not delegate the responsibility to a PhD student? It's wrong. In the civil service, it's wrong. A teacher has that mandate to set exam and to mark. But here in the university, what do we have? We have seen cases of PhD students even assisting lecturers to deliver lectures. I'm telling you what is happening in the university system. The academia, and I see it as the conspiracy of the elite against the Nigerian state. We have to be frank and sincere to ourselves in this country. That is why probably the politicians don't care anymore. in funding education because they know a lot of shenanigans that is presently happening in the university system. What about the issue of research grants? How many of those research grants has actually been what? Executed. So ASU must work with the government on where to do it. Let me tell you one thing, you cannot pay for knowledge. There is no amount of money you give. What you always do is just to compensate. But ASU will tell you, my take-home pay cannot take me home. That has been the slogan of the Academic Staff Union of Universities in Nigeria.
We can go on and not exhaust the stories that are on the front pages, but it's a wonderful time to say thank you to you this morning again for joining us on this particular edition.
Thank you, Anoluwapo.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts. You've made valid points, especially with the technology innovation that Nigeria should now think about. Now, the federal government, particularly the Tinubu administration, says he's doing a lot of things, and we are seeing that the president is leaving the country to Angola for G20 summit, for European Union, African Union summit as well. And we are hoping all of these things will be on the front line and on the discourse of the conversation for the president. Now, that's where we draw the curtains on this particular edition of newspaper headlines and analysis. And then coming up next is the big story with Yemi, where we check what happened in what data. You want to know what happened? Stay with us after this break.
Guten Tag. My name is Oluseun Durowoju, and I'm the director and owner of Afro-European Business Services Limited. We're a UK-based company with a branch here in Nigeria. We focus on language and cultural education for schools. At the moment, we are teaching German and Mandarin, which is Chinese, in several Catholic Archdiocese schools across Lagos State, including St. Gregory's College, Holy Child College, and Maryland Comprehensive, amongst others. Our approach is unique. We don't just prepare students for exams. No. Instead, we focus on practical and conversational language skills, helping the students to start speaking from their very first lesson. We also have our own team of highly qualified teachers, and we've developed custom teaching materials such as textbooks, workbooks, and flashcards with audio links to keep the students engaged. For more information, you can reach us at info@afro-european.com.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok @Dominion Broadcast and on X @DominionCast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
When elephant fights, it is the grass that suffers. And yesterday at Wadata Plaza in Abuja, the grass truly suffered. Our big story this morning is tension at Wadata Plaza, where Nigeria's opposition party battles itself. It takes us inside the escalating turmoil within Nigeria's main opposition party, where the PDP secretariat turned into a zone of confrontation. Reports indicate that tear gas was fired, crowds were dispersed, and loyalists of Senator Samuel Ayawu clashed fiercely with a faction aligned with Governors Seyi Makinde and Bala Mohammed. The struggle for control of the NEC meeting became a full-blown standoff as Ayawu's camp locked the gate, described certain leaders as impostors, and insisted on determining who could enter the secretariat. What should have been a routine leadership process became a symbolic battle for legitimacy, power, and the future of the party. This morning we unpack what happened at Wadata Plaza, the deeper tension fueling this crisis, and what this means for the PDP as Nigeria edges closer to 2027. Joining us is senior editor with Nigerian Tribune, Sam Woko. Welcome on board this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, viewers.
All right, please, can you help me make sense of what happened yesterday? A lot of Nigerians are saying maybe if the convention was postponed, this would not have happened. At what point do you think the PDP got it wrong, really?
If I want to begin with the point where the PDP got it wrong, we'll have a very long trace back.
Okay, sir.
Let's even say it may not be very long. Let's say till Modu Sheriff in 2012, 13, 14. And that was at the early stages, the preconception of the All Progressives Congress. At that time, the discussion for the alliance, which later became the All Progressives Congress, was in the embryo. So by the time it came and took the political scenario by storm, then the PDP had one Ali Modu Sharif, who was in a very serious battle with Ahmed McCarthy, and so on and so forth. And since that time till today, the PDP has not been a party at peace with itself. We also remember that on the other hand, we had an Atiku that left the party and later came back. We had a few other people that left and later came back. Remember the incidents of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo tearing his membership card and declaring publicly that he no longer was interested in what is going on in the political scene, that he is now off politics and things like that. So all these things culminated in what we are seeing today. Now, what now happened yesterday, to make sense of it as you have asked, is to tell you that some people have decided to take the bull by the horns. They have decided that, look, enough is enough. Let us know who true members of the political party are, and those who are like moles in the party working for another party and claiming membership of the PDP, their political party. You are claiming membership of our political party, but you have declared your intention to work for another candidate in the election. So it's time for us to sieve the political party and remove the wheat from the chaff. Unfortunately, the wheat and the chaff are still ingrained, so it's been very difficult separating both. That is the problem I see the PDP having at the moment, and it was what was displayed yesterday. The two groups came together to the Wadata Plaza and won needed to have an upper hand. It's like a knockout stage match in football. Somebody needed to win, and something needed to happen. So we are seeing as it unfolds, because I know that is not the end. In fact, it looks like it's just the beginning, because we are going to tread this path until maybe 2027 elections.
It's sad. No, I watched some of the videos, and then I saw that at some point police officers were fighting each other. For instance, now the ones that came with the Wike faction and the ones that came with the Makinde faction, it was a serious, scene yesterday, and then they had to fight each other. So I'm thinking now, is that not an embarrassment, to the nation? Because, recently Trump just called us a disgraced nation. I wonder if he's thinking of another word to use now. And then I also watched a video where the newly elected national chairman, that's Turaki, called on President Trump to say that, come and save our democracy. Do you think it has anything to do with, the internal affairs, within the People's Democratic Party?
Turaki had to say something. And what he said was one of the things he had to say out of desperation. I don't see any need for Trump to come into the issue on ground. Waiting concern Trump with two political parties in fisticuffs, nothing. In fact, he may not even be aware that such a thing was going on, because he has some more crucial things to look at. The issue of genocide they are discussing, they are already there trying to see how they can see the hammering of Ukraine to cease. He's trying to smoothing his ways with China and the trade and so on. So I'm sure it's not one PDP that has refused to grow up that Trump will get himself involved in. Even it's not at that level. If it was the government making a call and things like that, then we'll know another thing would happen. But that said, Tamino Turaki needed to say something. The issue of being a disgraced nation, the context is actually different. But here, if we keep doing this and we keep showing ourselves as people who have no control over our affairs and so on, hey, it's not going to be out of place for somebody to say, these people get around, you are so unorganized, and by all that is going on, you can begin to say, hey, Trump said this country is a disgraced country, and look at what is happening, trying to prove or lending credence to the term, to the unfortunate description. Now, that is also on another hand. On the other side is the security people in uniform who took on themselves, and those who were slapping and those who were kicking and so on and so forth. They even shooting themselves, tear gassing themselves and so on. To a large extent, interestingly, on Monday, I was discussing this, and I told people that these are my foreseeable outcomes. And I said it. I said, they are going to expel people. Expel me, I expel you. In those days, we grew up to hear of, you taka me, I double you. Or either you taka me or I double you, or you double me, I taka you. A tit for tat. I expected that. I expected a clash in the magnitude of what we saw yesterday. So I'm not surprised one bit that it had to involve the security people attached to the various high-class individuals who are in that place. We are talking about sitting governors. Bala Mohammed is a sitting governor. Bala Mohammed was an FCT minister. Bala Mohammed was a senator of the Federal Republic. Sheyi Makinde is a sitting governor, and the leading one at that, because he is the one who has taken up the fight to rescue PDP. So it looks like they have decided that, look, whatever it takes, we are going to fight this out and weed the party of the darnel. That's what the Bible calls it. Weed the darnel from the wheat, so that they won't look like they are the same. And on the third side, on the last side of it, because that should be the fourth, the fourth side of it is that if you know you are no longer interested in the PDP, find your exit way. That's what I have been worried about over the issue with Wike. You are in a party and you want to hold the party by the jugular. A party means, ordinarily, if Nigeria had been following what a political party should be, What it should mean is that everybody who is a member of that political party will contribute, pay their dues. It is the dues of members of the party they run the party with. But now, because some money bags have taken over the responsibility of the generality of the people, so those money bags have assumed the role of everybody else. You know, they now play the role of you all in this. And the you all they are doing is that whatever they say with their money becomes the rule that governs the party. So that shouldn't be. If you are rich and well-to-do and so rich that you can finance, entirely carry the burden of the party, then form your own party and do that. But don't come into a party that gave you everything and you now decide to ruin the party because some people have refused to listen to what you have refused to do what you dictated in the party. So for me, it's neither here nor there for all of them, but for all the things that we have seen, we are going to see more of it, and we are going to continue in this trajectory until perhaps the election comes in.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's talk about the build-up to the 2023 elections. I think around 2022 to 2023, there was a crisis too, and that was the fact that was because the presidency was zoned to the north. And then the likes of Wike, the likes of Makinde said, oh, you must leave, you know, once the presidency is zoned to the north. And because of that, they formed the G5. I'm speaking of Makinde, speaking of Wike, you know, Ipiazu, Autumn, and the likes. But yesterday, Samuel Autumn was even sent out of the hall.
Yes.
I watched the video, and then people are asking what went wrong with the G5. These people were friends. They came together to say that we are not going to allow Atiku do this to the party. But it appears that those that formed the G5 back then, they don't want to see eye to eye anymore.
For me, that's also part of the trajectory. One of the issues I learned about the G5 is that somebody in that G5 was assuming the role of be all, have all and be all. Another said, no, it shouldn't be. You know, one of the people I pity most is Samuel Autumn. Samuel Autumn was elected on the platform of the APC. When the killings in his state became unbearable, because this genocide we are talking about now, in fact, the day Samuel Autumn chose to leave the APC was the day they conducted a mass burial in, I think it was somewhere in, I'm trying to remember the name of the local government now. At that place, the people were telling him openly that if you belong to a party that is in government at the federal level, and this is happening to you, only God knows what will happen if you are not in the same party with former President Buhari, who is late now, and the APC. So they told him to leave that party, and he left, and he was re-elected. So upon his re-election, he became a member of the PDP, and Wike was a governor who was in PDP. Seyi Makinde had won his election. He was in PDP. Okezi Bazu was there too. And the fifth one, the guy in Enugu, you know. So these five said, okay, they came together to confront Atiku and said, look, you have to zone the presidency to the south because the north had 8 years. Atiku said, okay, let's zone it to the southeast and I will not contest. Wike said no, zone it to the south. Everybody else said no, zone it to the south and leave us to decide on what to do. It could be southeast, it could be south-south, it could be southwest. But the internal argument, the tiny argument was, all others have had a stint at the presidency. Let the southeast have it. Others said no. Atiku said, okay, if it is going to be that, then the northeast too have not had the opportunity of producing the president. So I'm going to contest if that's the case. And all hell was let loose. So they had to form the alliance and work against Atiku. And that was part of the things that threw Obi out of the equation and so on. Because what people thought was, okay, Obi and Wike was going to slug it out. But Atiku knew what he saw. Even when he won the primary, everybody thought he was going to pick Wike to be his running mate. He didn't pick Wike to be his running mate. And that was the last straw that broke the camel's back. And that is where we are till today. Now, the G5 itself have now seen that thing which made Atiku to jettison Wike and go for Ifeanyi Okowa, who was the governor of Delta State then. So what is that which they have seen? The man who is considered to be above every other thing except himself. He is the only right one, and so on and so forth. So others saw it as that, because I personally am not a fan of Wike. Perhaps people would have been hearing it from I've known him since 1999 when I was a correspondent in Rivers State. As a journalist, already a correspondent, and I knew when he was a local government chairman. We know a few things about his politics and his ways. So it has not changed. Rather, he has got more favor. He has more wings now. He has grown stronger in that. And yes, with an office as important as the FCT minister, he has grown wings and he's doing it, showing it in every way. So what others in G5 are doing is simply to tell him that, look, you are not the only one. You cannot be the only one directing the affairs of everybody else. There should be contributions by people. And that is what I think is playing out today. So it's like the last fight for the life of the PDP as a party and the lives of those individuals as political players themselves. So it's like a fight for their lives, of that of the party and that of the players in the group.
Okay, so let's talk about Adeleke of Osun State now. He was not present on Saturday for the convention, and some Nigerians are saying if care is not taken, it might be a scapegoat. Why are they saying that? I had to make some research to see that, for an election that will come up in 2026, a primary must come up this December, around December 15, so that maybe he can get the ticket and they can slug it out. But for a convention that INEC was not even present at the convention, because according to Ayawu, he's the national secretary and he's supposed to notify INEC. But then I think I listened to the newly elected chairman yesterday. He said that they notified INEC and then INEC said, okay, we have received your letter, but then INEC decided not to show up. But now this is the problem. People are saying that if care is not taken, Adeleke might leave PDP soon, maybe move to ABGA or any other party just so he can secure the ticket. And they are saying that why is it that the PDP members are not considering the fact that one of them is contesting for next election. Talk about Makinde now. I mean, he served 2 terms, he's leaving. But then let's talk about Adeleke now. What do you make of all of this? Because Nigerians are saying PDP is trying to make him the scapegoat of all of this that is happening.
Unfortunately, even if he remains in the PDP and contests on the platform of the PDP, he may end up the way the Zamfara people ended up. APC won all the elections in Zamfara. But somebody just went to court and said, look, this party, on this basis, this party did not win the election. And the courts cancelled all the elections and installed PDP. That's why you have PDP in Zamfara State. One of the questions people would ask is, if Adeleke was at a convention and everything everything went according to they had planned and they did everything, who will sign Adeleke's nomination? Because the party has 2 factions. There is Samuel Anyanwu and the Taufik Arakpaja. They are the 2 secretaries now. And if he gets the nomination of the PDP, which looks natural because he has a right of first refusal as the governor, if he gets the party's ticket, who will sign it? Who will nominate him to the INEC and so on? So that will create a problem for him. So for that, he had to stay away. And while the political, let me call it shenanigans, are going on, he has to look for a way to fight for his own political life. He has to fight for his political life. I remember it happened in Delta State. Senator, I've forgotten this man's name. I'll remember his name. He went to this party with a squirrel, ACPN.
Okay.
Yes, that's the party he went to. Senator, I have his name. When they refused to give him the ticket, he said, "Okay, I'll show you that I'm the one in charge of this party." He left the party, went to ACPN, which was unknown, won the senatorial election, and then went back to PDP.
Oh.
Senator, I've forgotten his name, you know. So that happened. That could also happen in Osun if the APC, which is fighting with it, does not relent. Because some of us are also thinking that maybe somewhere deep down, the political parties in place in Osun are one way or the other trying to gauge the signals coming from the presidency, or listen to the body language, listen to the unspoken words, the non-verbal communication coming from there, so that they will now know the next move to make. So to a large extent, Adeleke had to play smart. Adeleke did well by staying away, by my own reckoning, but the PDP has not done well by leaving him in this kind of limbo.
Okay, let's talk about the judiciary now. Some persons are also saying they think the judiciary is compromised in terms of the court ruling, because I read that at the point, a certain court allowed for the convention to hold, but then other courts are saying the convention should not hold. And then they had to obtain a court ruling in your state, and that was why the convention held. Let's also talk about Sule Lamido. Because, I mean, INEC is saying they should give Sule Lamido, the right to also obtain the form before the convention can hold. All of this is happening now, and they feel like maybe the court is working hand in hand with a certain faction of the party. What do you make of that?
Now, I have always maintained, excuse me, I have always maintained that the judiciary is not an untainted amicus in this whole matter. The judiciary hasn't been completely unblemished. They have a lot of role to play in this, and it's indeed affecting how a lot of things are playing out in what is going on. On 2 occasions, the parties have argued that the Supreme Court says internal matters of the party should not be taken to, should not be adjudicated upon. That's what the court said. And people will say, okay, my right has been infringed upon by social actions of the party, so they still need the court to do these things. But where I have a problem is not that people go to court to fight for their rights. But the problem I have is I will go to a court, get an injunction, and you will go to a court of equal jurisdiction to get an injunction that is just exact opposite of what I got from the same court. So it becomes a problem. And that's one of the problems bedeviling the People's Democratic Party. In fact, there was a time they were ridiculing the judiciary in Rivers State when Wike was the governor. There's a judge, I don't want to mention his name. People were saying, you want me to, they will mention his name, I will do this to you now. And it became a joke. That is the kind of joke some aspects of our judiciary have become. So, to me, the judiciary has not played the game well in this. It should be firm in deciding that, look, your matter is your matter. These are the judgments. Go harmonize all these things and bring it as one matter, and let's decide this once and for all. But because of the actors in this cinema, actors in this film, it's been very difficult for the judiciary to say no and stand by its decision. So it's a big problem, and the judiciary itself has to look inwards and know what it's doing. Look at INEC. INEC will tell you that, look, I have a court order saying I should not do this. But there would always be another order saying you should do the same thing. Meaning that INEC will be left in a quandary. And while in that dilemma, it will now decide which one to obey and which one not to obey. And it will not seek further clarifications. The judiciary deliberately will give judgments that will leave people with so many interpretations of the same judgment. So those things are not helping us, and judiciary is not doing well regarding that, I must say.
Okay, let's talk about Wike now before we leave, because I also watched a video where the newly elected chairman said that the President Tinubu should call Wike to order. Don't you think that is trying to invite the president, who is a member of another party, to interfere in the affairs of the PDP? Because that's what some Nigerians are saying, that why should you call on President Tinubu to come and interfere in this matter? Can you not find a way to settle it amicably?
If the president is the one Wike will listen to, then they are right to call him to order, because he is working for him first and foremost, and he's campaigning for him secondly. So if the president is the one whom he will listen to and jettison everybody else, maybe the president should help to do that, because already it's out there. He has proclaimed, he has declared his interest in working for the re-election of the president. And his declaration that he's going to work for the election of the president means that he's not going to work for the People's Democratic Party. So why is he still in the PDP? That is the same problem people have with someone like Kefas, who has postponed his own defection indefinitely now because of the, he said it's because of the abduction of girls from Yobe's girls' school. The man in Plateau, Muftang Caleb, I find it difficult pronouncing his name, I'm sorry. He has decided to, I mean, he was ambivalent too. He was in a kind of quandary himself. But people are saying, look, come out if you want to, there is this thing I saw on a video. If you want to talk to me direct. No, they pass corner.
Don't go through corners.
Yeah, no go through corners. Muftang is passing through corners. The man in Nasarawa, or is it no, there are a lot of them like that who are standing on the edge, waiting for the right signal to leave the PDP. And these are the people telling the PDP to reconcile. So if you are working for Tinubu, come out plainly and work for Tinubu and shed the garb of PDP and remain yourself. That's what Wike should do. You cannot stay in the party, be ruining the party, and be telling the party you still want to be in control of the party. Something has to give, and that has to be Wike. So if it takes the president to call him to order to behave well, if that's the language he wants to hear, I think it's in order for them to call on the president, because what is going on also reflects on the image of the country on whom the president is sitting, the country which the president is administering. And if you are ruling a country that is in this kind of disarray, I think it demands that certain actions should be taken. If it's the president that will help us in that regard, let's have it.
Some people don't think he's going to listen to the president.
Well, I would like to see that play out, because for me as a person, I have come to the conclusion, personal, that Wike may not survive the political whims and political caprices that will begin to unfold as 2027 begins. This is 2025. By next year, by God's grace, we shall all wait to see how the campaigns and other things will start. I don't personally see Wike running the whole course as a minister. I don't know. I'm only thinking. I'm thinking aloud. He may not run the course as a minister, and his political denouement is in the corner. He's looking at it right ahead of him.
Okay, now, so before we go now, let's talk about how peace can come in. Yes, we are not, myself and you are not part of the PDP, but we can actually still talk about certain things that can be done. Because one option is telling the president to win on this matter. What other options are available for the PDP now? Because I also read a story, I think yesterday night, where the faction of Ayawu suspended Makinde, suspended Dauda Lawal Zamfara. Expelled rather, thank you. They expelled all these members from the party. So what do you make of all of this? Because there was an expulsion on Saturday, I think with Ayawu, with Fayoshe is not even bothered about this whole thing. I think he has another issue with the former president of Nigeria, that's Obasanjo. They are still slugging it out. And then yesterday I read a story where he said he belongs to the zoo and all of those. So I don't think he's bothered about the OPDP drama. But let's talk about those that are bothered about this, and they've been expelled from the party just yesterday. Which body do you think can win on this matter to bring peace, to the PDP?
You see, in the end, yesterday, you notice that Bala Mohammed had to kind of take charge. And they eventually went and sat in the party secretariat and did what they wanted to do. Now, the expulsion of Makinde as a member of the PDP and the dissolution of the party's executive in Oyo State and so on and so forth is just like a tit for tat thing. I don't think it holds any credibility. It has no basis. If it has a basis, we'll wait to see in the coming days and weeks. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, the expulsion of Wike and co. would be argued as something that also has no basis, because INEC, which was supposed to supervise or monitor or oversee the convention, was not there and will not give a report since it was not there. However, at the end of it all, because what we are looking at is what should we do to save us of all these problems, all these eyesore. At the end of the day, they will still discuss, there will still be a round table. There is something that has always agitated my mind. Not agitated my mind per se, it's something I have been ruminating on personally. After the 2027 elections, which is the basis for all this wahala, after the 2027 elections and President Tinubu gets his second term, who is the next rallying point in any of the political parties? Nobody. Atiku is way too old to continue like
people
that.
are saying Atiku might still contest. Should he not win?
At how old? So he is way too old. He should just be a godfather. So who will be the next rallying point in APC, in PDP, in ADC, and so on and so forth? Maybe ADC will say, okay, we have David Mark, we have Atiku, who will be very old now, and so on and so forth. Well,
is he an option?
Well, I don't think so. Okay. Personally, he may appear like an option, but I don't think so. So who is going to be the next rallying point after 2027? I haven't seen any strong one. And because of that, it is going to be a huge, huge, huge implosion for the things we are witnessing now in PDP will still happen in other political parties, including the APC, which is keeping quiet. If anybody is asked off the cuff, who is the chairman of the APC, I'm sure it will take you a little while to think about what his name is.
You watched that.
You know?
Yeah.
You watched that.
Yeah.
That's because he just came, and so I am of the opinion that if these people, after all this storm and everything, they will still come to the round table. They will still sit down and say, you this guy, now what for you, and things like that, and they will sort themselves out. But hey, before you do that, don't ruin the country for those of us who are on the sidelines and who are making legitimate efforts to live as good Nigerians.
And they should give Nigerians option. Honestly, do not leave them with one political party, because if you are complaining about one party state and then people do not have options to vote, I think it's sad. But then, what's the body language of Makinde? Do you think he might contest for presidency?
I don't think he's ripe for that.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. A big thanks to you, Samuel Ko, senior editor with Nigeria Tribune, for being a part of this session this morning. We do hope that PDP will find a way to settle all of this, and then the next time we are talking about that party, to be that, oh, thank God, one miracle happened, and then they found a way to settle things amongst themselves. Okay, a house divided against itself cannot stand, and what unfolded at Wadata Plaza yesterday is a powerful reminder. Today's big story has taken us into the heart of a party at war with itself, a party wrestling over leadership, control and direction. The tear gas, the blocked gates, the confrontations and counterclaims all point to a deeper crisis that threatens the PDP's stability and credibility at a critical moment in Nigeria's political journey. A big thank you to you once again, Samoko, senior editor with the Nigerian Tribune, for helping us navigate the layers of this unfolding drama. As the PDP continues to battle itself from within, the question remains, can an opposition divided at its headquarters truly stand strong before the nation? Time will tell. This has been the big story on Daybreak Live. My name is Oluwayemi Adela Kwamsin. Thank you for being a part of this segment. Please stay with us because Trend Watch will come up soon. We take a short break.
Guten Tag. My name is Olusegun Drowoju, and I'm the director and owner of Afro-European Business Services Limited. We're a UK-based company with a branch here in Nigeria. We focus on language and cultural education for schools. At the moment, we are teaching German and Mandarin, which is Chinese, in several Catholic Archdiocesan schools across Lagos State, including St. Gregory's College, Holy Child College, and Maryland Comprehensive, amongst others. Our approach is unique. We don't just prepare students for exams. No. Instead, we focus on practical and conversational language skills, helping the students to start speaking from their very first lesson. We also have our own team of highly qualified teachers, and we've developed custom teaching materials such as textbooks, workbooks, and flashcards with audio links to keep the students engaged. For more information, you can reach us at info@afro-european.com.
Welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for Trend Watch, and Anu is back on set to help me make sense. We're going to make sense of the Trend Watch together. So what are we talking about for this particular segment?
So on the Trend Watch today, terrorist attack CSA Church in Kwara community, Q3 abduct pastors, several worshippers. That's the big caption. We did not finish the conversation of the abduction of the 25 girls in Kebbi State, and the next one we saw just yesterday night was this particular story. So it seems it's becoming a dime a dozen. It's becoming one too many. We keep having this case of kidnap. This is exactly the case. But just a brief into the story is that 3 members were shot dead on the spot before the assailant seized an unspecified number of people. And what happened was that why that was caught on camera was because the church has a social media account from where they live stream their church. So it was during the live stream. So it wasn't as though this was, formulated. It wasn't acted out. It was something that was real. Of course, we'll take a short clip now to see what happened, how it unfolded right there in that particular community. What a gory sight it was. Of course, not a good thing to talk about. But exactly, panic and tears actually swept through that particular town. And this is not very far from where we're talking from. This is in Kwara State. It happened in Kwara State at the Christ Apostolic Church, CSC. And then 3 worshippers have been reportedly killed during that particular abduction. And several others were abducted, including the pastor. But I think so on the literal note, someone was saying that the pastor should have jackpot. But somehow maybe the pastor wants to save the congregants to say, okay, now I'm the pastor, it's okay, what do you guys want? Because even in the video, we could saw those guys coming inside with their guns, taking bags of those women and the people who came to church, taking their bags, emptying their bags and all of that, taking those things to themselves. And you could see the appearance of those guys. They look like bandits. But this is also striking the conversation at a time when the United Nations has designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Now, there's been that issue. There's a particular conversation. Also, Riley Moore spoke to one of the House members in the U.S. Congress was speaking to that issue. And just tomorrow, which is Thursday, there's a planned conversation also about this issue of Christian genocide in the United States that is actually purported. Now we are seeing all of this coming at a point in time now. So this is sparking the reaction of, will the United States government sweep into action now? Because this is another evidence of what the federal government has claimed is not happening in the country.
It's sad, really, and I don't think we are going to outgrow that designation anytime soon, a country of particular concern. And then I think Quora has been going through it before now, about 4 months ago now. We've been seeing a lot going on in Quora, and it's just sad that these people were attacked in this manner. You recall the Owo massacre, where something similar to this happened, and people were murdered in the church, in their own blood, and then they had to be buried, in numbers. It's a sad one, and I want to believe that the government is aware of what happened here, and regardless of the fact that a lot of persons might come out to say there's no Christian genocide, we know that it is happening, and then that's not to lose focus on the fact that whether Christians or Muslims, Nigerians are being killed. There's a video you see it online where Nicki Minaj, came out recently to talk about this Christian genocide, to say that she thinks that Christians are being attacked, and a certain popular TV presenter in this nation said she's looking for clout. Imagine, is that the right way to look at this matter? But then can we face the situation to see that how can we tackle these people instead of saying, the United States, they want to come and take our resources. Can we learn from them? They've been able to neutralize bandits and terrorists over the years. Can we begin to learn from them and see how we can actually tackle this? It's not good for the country. Whether you like it or not, the social media, videos like this would spread, to where we cannot even, think of. And it's a sad one, honestly. I do wish that this particular church and the people, they'll get the safety that they need. And, of course, something like this will not happen again, honestly.
And so that is a good way to maybe implore the government and the security agencies and parastatals and every other person is concerned in this case to look deep into this issue. This is happening under our nose. When we have a government, we have a federal government, we have the legislative, and we have the judiciary, we have a House of Representatives and all of that in the country. So what are we discussing at the House level? What exactly are we doing at the security level? We need to beef up security. We need to improve on security. And even if we say we don't want external influence in the country, we need to really do what we're supposed to do. We need to serve and make sure that we serve with all our hearts. When the lives of Nigerians become something to think about, I think Nigeria will become better for it. If we have to put the lives of people at the forefront of our consideration, it becomes the top priority for the nation. I think that's the way to go. And on that note, I'll drop the conversation to say it's been a wonderful time with you. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name, again, is Anoluwa Paul. You don't remember to be a good citizen of the Nigerian state, because it's your responsibility as much as it is mine to do.
Well, thank you for being a part of the show. Do well to join us same time tomorrow for another exciting edition. My name is Oluwayemi Adelako. Please ensure that you're safe at all times. Bye for now.